hear me, I am trying to test my tab record. Let me see if I'm on this is working or not. So I'm trying to share some valuable information. By the way, I think my microphone is working. There you go. Now it's working. All right, so I'm trying to share valuable information about our. Let me just see. Let me just see if I can get this information is right here. All right, this is gonna be right here, and there should be one more. Now this one. All right, how about this one? Neither. Now where is this? All right, this is a test, so you guys be patient on me. But I can promise you, once this is done and running, you will get a lot of information and valuable information. So it sounds to me that I am there now. All right, so I think I should be live on Facebook and YouTube. All right, so that looks good there. Let me just double check again. This is a test. All right, so I should be here and I should be going live from my computer. Let me see. Uh, don't think so. I don't see myself going live. All right, so maybe it's not live yet. So okay, I'm testing myself. All right, so now who can see this? Pause now. All right, looks like this is ready to go. Prestige backup stream. Copy, we got that. That was done. That was done. That was done. Why this is not going live? So let's just complete. Oh, God, go live right here. Set up live video. All right, stop streaming. Let me just go again. All right, get access specify. All right, I'm trying to figure out how to make this work, but I'm about to give up. I think I'm gonna hire somebody that know about this and then can really get there. That was so much easier. But I can share my screen. I can really do great things with this. All right, so I'm just gonna click here, complete post. Oh, post gonna be test. Gonna be test. It's gonna be test. All right, now I think it is. All right, so stream key. All right, I think now this one is ready to go. So the only problem is I have to redo this again. Advance. All right. Okay, I have to do this again. So I'm gonna go right here. I'm gonna go stream. Server custom. I'm gonna just the server. Copy server. Pass. And there's gonna be key. Pass. Now apply. Then okay. Now if I do start streaming. connecting the server. Perfect. Okay. Now I'm sharing this. I share my screen. I'm gonna add one more SN2. Send the name of the SIN. That will be um, budgeting. Budgets. Okay. And right there, I'm gonna add browser, computer card, audio input, color, image, media, scenes, symptoms, text, video capture, Mac Studio, browser, create new. How do I add this? Okay, so I need this. This is the name. Enter the name. Okay, how do I do that? Sources. Okay, send. Okay. So video capture. Bronze 1, bronze 2. That's a bronze 2. Okay, bronze 2. Transition. Sense. Okay, I am here, but I just don't know. Alright, should I just give up this? I got training to get. URL local browse 2. Search. Okay, let's come send. So that's that. How do I fucking share my screen? That just ran through the screen. Don't have any search. Click it. Another one. Okay, browser no. Capture card device. Macos capture. Macos can capture media. Video capture device. Extraction. Cut. Fail. Dime, Mari. Ok, se avanzan todavía. Ok, interact.
los fines de semana eso no cuida bien siempre.
Okay.
Tengo cita 13, 14, 15. Me imagino que ahí no debe estar bonito, ¿verdad?
Uh,
15 de julio. Eso no le va a salir de ocupación.
okay, chama. Okay. That's for the project, and that's a window. Okay, so now right here I need to add options. Person layout advantage, keep showing sources. Monitor option. Audio. Properties. Ah, I should have learned this right away. Okay, my budget. Searches window capture. One more. Okay, imágenes. Synchronous grupos. Audio input display captures. Plus a transition fade. Fade black. Duplicate scenes, duplicate sources. Premium program sense. Okay, I don't know how to do this thing. Okay. Hello, hello. Okay, I gotta play with this later. Okay, I gotta play with this later.
Recording in progress. So, pod.md loads every conversation. So, every unnecessary sentence competes for attention. So, imagine carrying SOP, every single SOP into your business, into every customer meeting. You'd never find what you want, right? So, that's where it's nice to get these into the separate buckets. So if me and Priska were, and I'm just picking on you because you're right on my screen here, but if me and her were to have a meeting and we wanted to reference files, and I brought this big Bible of every file, recording in progress, we had to try to look through that, it would be kind of confusing, right? So think of it that way. Versus if we just had the sales manual and we were working on sales and having a conversation with sales. So archive.md, this is where I was talking about with that YouTube video that I referenced. He explains really good how to set this archive MD up. Unfortunately, I don't have that prompt thing, but by next week I'll have it cleaned up and I will have it ready for you guys. But setting up this archive MD is history for free. So this is, like I said with that YouTube video, nothing gets deleted, it gets archived. So history costs nothing if it isn't loaded into every task. So old pricing, old employee handbook, old projects, they're still searchable. You can still reference them, but it's not slowing down today's work and it's not using up your tokens. So It's still searchable. It can still reference it. Think of it as a huge file cabinet in the side of the office. If you're working on projects, you wouldn't have every single project file sitting on your desk, right? The ones that are finished and completed, you would put them away in the file cabinet where you could still reference them, but they're not on your working desk, right? So think of the archive MD similar to that. And if anyone has anything as I go here,
What do you know about
please
this?
don't hesitate
Francis?
to just interrupt or whatever. I don't want you to lose your thought. So teach co-work your voice. So one of the things that is a resource that I have is creating your master prompt. So every one of you should have a master prompt. And if you want to get ahead of this, I have a resource that you would fill out. The other way you can do this is just straight up tell Claude that you want to make a master prompt and tell it to interview you to create a master prompt and save this as the file. Now, whenever you use any other AI, Gemini, ChatGPT, there's a whole list of all these AIs. You can just simply upload that master prompt file, and it's caught up to you right away. So it has all your reference. It's basically like a biography of you, and have Claude save that as an MD file. I would recommend doing that for your business as well, and any other things if you want to do your sales processes, anything like that. But these are just resources that you can save to build your AI brain. So messages, so tones, do's, and don'ts. If you're not really connecting with how it's communicating with you, just give it an update and tell it that this is how you want to communicate so that it works with you. You guys are familiar with the disc. Like a D wants straight, points to the fact, short, sweet, whereas a C wants a lot of stats, a lot of data, a lot of information, and you just got to train your AI to talk to you how you want it to talk. Same thing as how you want it to write. Save it as voice principles, and save this if you think you're going to switch back and forth. Save it as memory. If not, codify this and save it to your Claude MD, so that it'll be able to communicate with you every single time. Some of the words I like to use is like, talk to me like you're a fellow coworker explaining something to me. It kind of gets a little more humanized. It kind of looks through the business lens. So this is where your AI can start sounding like you. So gather, extract, save, reuse. So example, 5 emails. You can upload 5 emails that you've sent. Find the patterns of those emails. Are they friendly, professional, short, bullet points? And then save those as principles. And now you can use it as that email sounds like you every single time. So that's kind of how you can train it. There again, think of it as an employee. You need to train it so that it can talk and act like you, right?
No, finish the movie.
All right. Read and edit your files.
Where's Baby Shan?
So Claude, MD voice, all plain markdown text. I can show you.
Okay.
I'll open my screen when I'm done with these slides. And then if you need to update something, like let's say, for example, here's a prime example. I made, in my Black Box HQ, I made a slide deck builder, which builds these slides. And for some reason, it started saving them as files on my MacBook and just making a copy link in Google Drive. So once I once I get it to actually make them into Google Drive, now I'm going to tell it to update that, codify that and update the skill so that I don't have to deal with that next time. So as you guys are running into these hiccups, like Dan said, it got frustrating. Think about how you're addressing it, right? But then once you get that end result, if it's different from, if you, like, all right, let's say I have a task where I'll stick to the email one. And all of a sudden, I trained it how to type emails like me and all that stuff, and then all of a sudden it gives me one to approve, and it's just off the wall. It's starting to go a little crazy. I can correct it and then I can just say it to update that. So that's what I'm saying with edit your files, and you don't have to go into the files or nothing. You don't need to be a software engineer to do this. Just simply tell it to update this on all the files that are applicable to it. Skills. So this is something that is really cool, and this is kind of one of the steps to getting into automation. So a skill is a saved workflow that work runs on command. So once you guys get all your employee trained in, right? So once you get all of this is how we do it, you got to think of it like this. First, I got to train you how to act exactly like roles, responsibilities, and expectations. I need to give you the role. I need to give you all your responsibilities and how to do them. I need to give you the expectations of how to behave, how to talk, all that proper stuff. Once we get that dialed in and we have them broke down into these individual blocks, now we can start connecting these blocks together and start developing a skill. So first things first, let's get the email stuff situated. Let's get how you're going to talk, what's acceptable, what's not acceptable, how you review it, how you can self-correct yourself, all that stuff, just like you would of an employee. All right, now let's start doing step 1. Let's start doing step 2, step 3, and now you can start developing these skills. So once you start getting that point, you can start saving and turn this into a skill. So, for example, I gave you guys the example last week. I went to an influenceology class about presenting and storytelling and all this stuff. I basically uploaded all that. Basically trained one of my AI employees with all that stuff, and I turned it into a skill. And then basically there's like 7 different points, there's 7 different stories, there's all these things. So I basically had it, I told it to make sure to ask these questions. So now when I run that skill, it's going to ask me questions to gain context of what it needs to run that skill. So I hope that's not too confusing, but this is where, instead of typing write a wrap up, upload photos, create an email, update CRM, you say run the job wrap up process, and then it's done. So imagine every estimator following the exact same closing window workflow. That's a skill.
Bobby,
So
who
if
is
you're not
this
using
guy?
AI, you're training it. Say codify this, and
Who
Cowork
is
writes a
this
rule
guy
into
right
its
there?
own brain and follows that from here on out.
Bobby, who
So
is that
you
in the
really,
brown
really, really
face?
have to
Who
think
is-
of it as an employee. It needs to be trained.
Bobby,
Most
who is
people
that?
think AI is Google. It isn't. Every correction, every codify, every remember, you're literally building an employee. You're investing. You're not prompting.
I want to watch.
All right. Things to remember.
Put something bad, I'm gonna turn it off.
That's there.
Yes. You put something bad, I'm gonna turn it off. You
Sorry, I'm
understand?
missing a couple of slides there. Things to remember. So, 2 files, run it. Rulebook is Claude MD. Your notebook is a memory.md. I hope that really makes sense. That's the big piece that I want you guys to pull from this. As we start developing some automation and some agents, these are the 2 most important pieces that I want you to take from today's lesson. So the rule book is Claude MD. That's the job description. That's the roles, responsibilities, expectations of this future agent that we're going to build. And then memory is the notebook. So giving them the notebook with just what we're working on. And then there's 3 pieces of memory, right? Rule is Claude MD. Memory is fact. Keep them lean. Remember to set up that archive MD to keep them lean. I know when I was first starting to use Claude, I was getting frustrated because it seemed like every time I started going, I was out of tokens. And then the prompt would come up, you need to purchase more tokens. It's like, holy cow, I'm putting a lot of money into this. And then capture your voice. So, don't chase prompts, train the system is the big takeaway from today. So I know it's cool that everyone's selling, there's 90 business prompts, and here's 10, prompts that you can implement today. That's all good for you guys to copy and paste these prompts, but I'm really trying to get you guys to understand the engineering behind the prompts and really how to use this stuff so that it can help you with your businesses. All right, let's go into discussion. Okay, how do I access the video? All right, now that I'm not sharing. So the video is Sue.